And you know, everything that you guys said is so on point. It was actually my follow-up question to that. Robert, you specifically have been on the forefront in that, right? And John as well, for sure. Robert, you were one of the first directors to say, okay, I'm going to place this Latinx actor here and here and here. And now we are seeing more and more examples of it. So, you know, what feeling do you get as you're seeing it sort of spread across the industry?
It was a great feeling. I mean, I started early on. I made Mariachi was my first movie. So when I went to make Desperado, I was shocked. This was in, you know, mid-90s, that there just weren't more Latin actors working because no one was creating the roles for them. So the studios weren't hiring. It was just a whole systemic problem. So I realized as a Latin writer, as soon as I write my first script, it's going to be, you write what you know, it's going to have Latins in it. So it's like, well, I'm going to be stuck unless I create my own star system. So I have to go find my own actors, break them in, and as soon as they're in one, I follow it up with another and another, and that's why I put Cheech in everything, Danny Trejo and everything until he could become a star to run his own movie. Salma, I found her in Mexico. I pulled Antonio from Spain, and I was just creating a star system because once, it's a very reactionary business. They don't want to be first to do anything, especially hire Latinos, because they want to go where the money is, and no one had proven it yet, so that's a whole problem.
Yeah.
So as soon as you do it though once, then it's a very imitative business.
Yeah.
They'll imitate a success.
It's
so
true.
I knew that if I just did that, so it was very gratifying to first be casting Latinos for Latinos. They were casting non-Latins in Latin roles, and getting away with it, and no one ever took them to task, so they just kept doing it. But then to see it start changing and people start looking for more diversity, and I remember when I did Sin City, it was so great to have like Jessica Alba, Benicio del Toro, you know, Rosario Dawson, and they weren't playing Latin.
That's right.
You know, that was cool. They were just accepted as just being able to play anything. So that was a real turning point.
Yeah.
But that took 8 years.
Of course,
and
of course.
You know, just keep going.
Yeah. And I have to say, I love seeing Asa Gonzalez.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah, that's true.
I think everyone who's ever seen Asa is like, I love seeing Asa Gonzalez.
Yeah, for sure.
But she's so incredibly talented and just a pleasure and a dream to work with. But I feel like all
that's the other thing.
are.
That's the other thing too. You're casting them for their talent. We cast her for who she was as an actress first, and then it was just extra exciting that she was Latina. When I went to do the role for Asa, I had worked with her in Dust Till Dawn. I knew she could act through makeup.
Of course.
All this makeup she could act through. She was such a pro that I thought, that's a tough job. We cast someone who's never done that. They're gonna be lost with all that stuff.
Right.
So I called her up and said, hey, you gotta come play this role. One, you'll really pop, you'll be awesome, but I know you can actually do the role. So that's why I cast her.
And, you know, she's in one scene, but it is a very memorable scene. And someone who it really hit home with was Jim Cameron. When he saw that scene, he was not familiar with her before Robert cast her in this and put it together. Jim was so taken by her, and it just speaks to her ability to have this presence on screen.
Oh, she does, for sure. For sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
very commanding presence.
Yes. Now, okay, so you brought up the whole technical part of, you know, acting through the makeup.
Well, in Dust Till Dawn, she was covered with prosthetic makeup and having to act through that, which is hard.
And in this case, it's acting through.
She had makeup,
performance.
She had makeup and performance capsules. She had a whole head rigged and makeup all the way around her head.
But Rosa, you had that challenge as well, and in your character also, there's a lot of physical combats, right?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the fight scenes in this movie are just phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean, that's phenomenal.
thank you.
Yes, the trailer has shown nothing yet. FYI, there's so much more to see. Did you? I mean, how much physical action were you involved in, or was that all just, you know, after effects?
She could snap my neck right now.
I could. I might. Why not? It would be cool for TV.
Demonstrate.
I did a lot more than I think anyone was expecting me to do. At first, you know, Jim and Robert and John were like, well, let's get her into training. We don't want to do two takes of a kick and then she's winded. So it was more about an endurance thing. But I did 5 months of martial arts training for about 2.5, 3 hours almost every day. And I just, you know, I didn't want to, again, going back to the Latinx work ethic, I didn't want to just look good on screen. I wanted to be great on screen.
Yes.
So, because, you know, like, oh, just put my face on someone else's body and like eat a cheeseburger. No, that was not, I needed to feel Alita's body. So I needed to get strong. So I went in, and some days were great. I felt like I was making progress. And then other days I was absolute trash, and I was like, you know, getting smacked in the face every day by my limitations. But that had a really interesting byproduct because it not only toned my physique, it toned my brain.
Gotcha.
My mental state became more warrior-like, you know, that level of determination that it takes to keep going in, keep showing up, working through the soreness, working through the pain, working through the doubt. That put me in a really good place to know the character of Alita. It actually ended up being like the linchpin for Alita. So I broke my body, you know what I mean?
Yes,
I
of
broke it
course.
in, so I got to do a lot more. Obviously, I had a very talented stunt woman. Her name's Mickey Facinello,
Okay.
and she's been training since she was a young girl. So I take it this far, Mickey takes it this far, and then Weta takes it all the way up to the roof.
Right, of course.
So-
Well, guys, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, I had a blast with Alita. I want the second one to come out already, right?
Me too.
And the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and that's it. So again,
Thanks.
thank you, and thank you
Muchas
guys for what
gracias.
you're doing for the community as
Thank
well.
you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Go watch Alita, everyone.
Watch it.